it before that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Robotic.
Somebody had a rough night.
Morning.
Morning, cheers. Good morning.
All right, I think we have everybody here more or less, so we'll just kick it off. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for all for getting up early on a Monday morning. So today's session will revolve around buying, a very exciting subject that I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions. So we've brought in a couple of experts from the group. Everybody knows Dana, who's done a little bit of buying herself, so that's cool. But then we have David and Julie streaming from our main offices here in Dubai. They are from our department store Triano, our luxury department store Triano. So they'll take us on a little buying journey and give you all the ins and outs, the secrets, the do's and don'ts of buying. But before we get started, since you guys don't know each other, or maybe you remember Julie from the selection process, I would like to do a quick round of intros. Let's start with our awesome designers.
Video on.
Yeah, and if you'd love to have video on, just so the guys can see who you are and who they're talking to. I see Mo is ready to roll, so Mo, you can take the first spot.
Hey guys, good morning. How are you? My name is Mohammed Bajaba. I'm the founder and creative director of Proud Angeles. Proud Angeles is a fashion and lifestyle brand inspired by the community.
Thank you, Mo. Dania, you're next to my screen, so I'm gonna point at you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Dania. I'm the owner creative director of Dania Shankar brand. It's a contemporary and sustainable bag brand that focuses on offering unconventional designs.
Thank you. Dalia, you're next on my screen. But you're muted. Rookie mistake.
Hello, my name is Dalia Bkharji. I'm the owner of Human Error. Human Error is a creative brand and it's based on collaborations.
Thank you. Jude, you want to go next? Okay. Yep, there you go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jude Patani. I'm the owner and creator behind Noms Life. Noms is a graphic, ready-to-wear lifestyle brand that was built around a secret society of characters.
Awesome. Thanks, Jude. And Kauthar, I see you're ready to roll.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Kauthar. I am the designer and owner of Craft by Calf. My brand is, the base of my brand is creating pattern and creative structures.
Cool. All right, so I'll turn it. So we're missing our friends at Cones and Rods. They'll join us a little bit later today. But David, Julie, do you want to give us a little intro on who you are, what you do, and what makes you so cool?
Well, I don't know about the cool part, but my name is David Desiro. I'm the head of merchandising for Saks in Bahrain and Triano in Abu Dhabi and Triano.com. I've been living and working in the region back and forth for 15 years in Dubai. We've been launching the first department store in Dubai in 2004, which was Saks in Burj-Maan. In the meantime, I've been living in Milan, working for Prada, living in New York, working for Dolce & Gabbana, and I am back in Dubai since last February. So this is me, and now Julie.
Hi guys, so I'm Julie. I joined the group 4 years ago. I'm the buying manager for women, RTW, and kids in Saks and Triano and Triano.com.
Cool. I think we're ready to begin. So David and Julie, please teach us a little bit of the things you know.
Yeah, first, I think, what was very important for us in order to be the best, coaching possible is really to understand a little bit, about your brand and where you want to go, because each of you have a different brand. So there's not like a secret formula. There's more like more specific, way of working. So maybe we can go through the same order you guys introduce each other, and we start with Mohammed, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit about your brand and where are you today in terms of where you distributed? Are you planning to go regionally, internationally? Like what do you want to go? Like what is your aim?
Okay, sure. So the brand is based mainly online, and we have 3 points of sales that we do consignment with in Jeddah, and we're adding our 4th by the end of this month. In Riyadh, we have 6 points of sales that we sell within consignment, plus we're opening our own flagship store on November 1st.
Great.
Days.
Okay, we're in Riyadh as well?
Yeah, in Riyadh Season Boulevard. It's permanent. I like it's so 5 days from now, something like that. Yeah. And then we have in Khobar 1 point of sale. So that's would be in regional, but we want to go, I'm sorry, local. We want to go regional to Qatar and Dubai and Kuwait in 2022, inshallah. Then so on and on. So that's where we stand. But we sell online worldwide.
Worldwide, okay. And where's your where you sell, which geographical? Saudi, mostly.
Yeah, and that's what I need for now. Just focus on local, online, and offline, and then try to go regional and hopefully international.
Perfect. And I guess you're part of the Muse project in Riyadh?
Yes, one of the point of sales is the Muse in Riyadh.
Perfect. Okay. So, I mean, it seems you are in a pretty good way from now on, Do you have a specific question about, how to get to the next level? Do you work, obviously your point of sale, you are doing a wholesale type of contract, or you're doing consignment? Like how is your your net profit line, into this? How you calculate your price? In other words, how you make your business profitable?
Oh, definitely we take into consideration the cost of the products and the shipping and the customs. But it's still like I haven't figured out the formula to consistently figure out the margins to make better decisions in the future, that's something I definitely need help. But also in wholesale is something I could get some advice on in terms of buying and selling, in April last year, I was approached by the Arab Fashion Week to join a wholesale runway also with Chernoy, Chernoy in Paris.
Yes, of course. We visit Chernoy every season. Yeah. We get a lot of it's a great salon in Paris, absolutely.
So yeah, we joined, and it was a big shift for the brand from being casual to being ready to wear. So we did that, and we didn't get a lot of wholesale accounts. We got few, but we didn't get a lot. But the main reason I didn't perceive after that is logistically is not smart. It's like with the other countries. So I didn't know how to do the buying and selling when it comes to other retailers,
Perfect. So you did not proceed with the order. You didn't try.
I decided to save it for the future, and then we'll be more ready to fulfill their wholesale orders when they place it.
And it was more about the logistic issue, or
logistics, I would say pricing for the brand. But I'm very familiar with the whole process of sending the sheets and shipping dates and the minimums, because I was a retailer before being my own brand. But it's very challenging, but it's interesting as I'm going, And I wasn't prepared now to come with question. I can come to you with question in a bit. You just ask me on the spot, by the way. So
No, it's okay. No. I think, I think here there's a point, like in terms of, that's why I'm asking in terms of where you want to go, like, because if you want to go retail, it's one thing because it's your own, kind of pricing margin.
yeah.
If you want to go wholesale, that's in another story. And I know there's a lot, we work with a lot of brand, especially, some of the, newest brand, they have to stop after a few seasons because they realize that when they sell wholesale, they barely break even in terms of, profit. So this is why pricing have to be really right. And we understand that it's not about, making the things too expensive. So you want to be well priced as well, but you want to be able to, to make money out of it, So I personally think that in terms of your wholesale pricing, you have to have a flat margin of 40%. I don't think you can go under 40% for your wholesale pricing. And then when you do your retail, this is when, you are actually doing a very healthy margin, This is actually one of the reasons why all the big group, I mean, I'm sure you saw that most of the big group, LVMH and Kering, are going away a little bit from the wholesale part because, the margin is get very tight on wholesale, even for big group, yes.
So I noticed one thing about doing wholesale, so I'll tell you first how I did my pricing strategy, and then I'll tell you like what I noticed also with the pre-booking purchasing. When I used to do my pricing for the Chinoy collection, the ready-to-wear, I took into account how much the fabric and cutting and sewing cost me, and I doubled that price for wholesale, and then I doubled that price for retail. So that's the strategy I followed in pricing from cost to retail, wholesale to retail. And then, I'm sorry, my mind lagged a little bit at this point. It happens sometimes. Get back to it.
And just when you think about it, when you were doing this, were your final price where you want it to be, or was it a little bit too expensive compared to your?
It came out to be a little bit too expensive for the brand, and that's mainly because the fabric that I imported, and I did it all one-of-one pieces, so I wasn't really getting the right quotations. But it was a good experience to go into like wholesaling and buying. But yes, what I came to the point that is, when I have wholesale orders and the buyers want to buy, I have to put my own money to do the pre-booking. While if I spend my own money on pre-booking, I can sell it, as you mentioned, direct to consumer or consignment and making more margins than going into wholesale. So do I really want to be in a wholesale as a business?
Exactly. Well, yeah, there's a way also, we there's a lot of store who you can request prepayment, this is a big secret. I don't
Even
know
if you're a small brand?
Even for small brand, because, you have to explain to the buyer, that you need at least 30% at confirmation. So this is really something that is from any country, even some big brand, most of our brand are asking 30% confirmation, especially for the first order, because first you need to be a trust relationship between, the vendor and the buyer. Because at the end of the day, it's, you need to trust that person, because it's true, you cannot put your own money and then at the end when the merchandise is ready, then the buyer decide that, oh, you did not follow the delivery window, and then they cancel your order, or something like COVID happened, and then they're like, oh no, we cannot take your order. So this is why you need to have 30% at confirmation for small order. And unfortunately, some of the buyer will not accept, but then it's also you're in the position to say then, I cannot accept to work with you. I mean, we work with more than 250 brands. Of course, as a retailer, we don't like to pay in advance. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be very transparent. However, we are doing advance payment for a good part. I want to say a good 40% of the brand, especially the smaller brand who's starting. And then after a few seasons, 1 or 2 seasons, then we move, maybe, before delivery, just before the shipment. And after, when the order grow, we negotiate a discount, and then sometimes we can go 30 days, 60 days, but it is a business relationship. So in a business relationship, it needs to be equal for both sides. So of course, the buyer will always ask you 30-day net, but this is really you or the person in charge of your selling, your rep, to be really like, unfortunately, for the first order, we need 30% at confirmation. And that 30%, normally, if your pricing is right, is going to give you all the cash flow you need to launch the production. Once again, if your pricing is right, 30% must cover all your expense. So the 70% you receive must be more or less kind of your profit, left over.
Just sorry, going back to before going to wholesale. Do you do fair to try to source fabrics? I just think in terms of pricing, especially as you want to be competitive, you need to target where you want to position the brand. What are your competitors? What is the price? And then work from the ideal price you want to have on the market and how you can reach it. So yes, you're going to have the fabrics, you're going to have the shipments, and all of that. You need to say, okay, for example, I'm just putting a price. My retail price is going to be $50 for the t-shirt. How do you work backwards and source the best fabrics that is also in line with your vision, with what you want to do with the brand, whether it's sustainable, not sustainable, locally and on, to be able to reach this price and then be competitive. And you need to do fairs. You need to go to Première Vision. You need to extend your contract to your contact list, to find the right suppliers. For the cotton, do I produce in Bangladesh? They're really good with the cotton. China, because the prices are more competitive. And we all have this made in China might not be good. On the contrary, they have very good fabrics. Do you want to be local? So local, you need to source in GCC. All of this you need also, as David was mentioning, if you want to go wholesale, you need to have the right pricing. So how do you work towards having the right pricing?
Yeah, working backward is a good exercise too, because then maybe you can squeeze, as much as the buyer is squeezing you, you can squeeze where you buy your fabric. You can squeeze your production.
But I have a question. Like, from a protection point of view, the 30% is great, but is it worth it? While I know other stores that are selling to me consignment, since I already risked putting my cash flow into production to achieve certain production number, is it worth me giving them in wholesale or just push it to other stores and make more money?
Yeah, consignment, it's have the, the good and the bad, consignment, you need to advance 100% of the cost because you need to do produce. And at the end of the day, if the people don't sell, that's it,
So pros and cons.
Yeah, like you get back the merchandise at the end of the day, so you cannot make any money, so yes, there's both way. It's really normally with the smaller brand, a lot of stores start with consignment, and then when they see there's potential, then they move to own bought because they invest. Most of the brand, I have to say, would prefer to buy on own bought because consignment is very risky, because if the store doesn't take good care of your brand, meaning if it doesn't resell it, then at the end of the day, and 6 months later, they call you back, and you get back all your merchandise with 0%.
Consignment is a good model if you already have strong shoulders in terms of cash flow, as David was mentioning. If you have a hybrid model, let's say you have part wholesale, part consignment, you can go. Always be careful because you might have some buyer coming and they want to give a try, they're going to order you $15,000, $20,000. Never go for that if you work on consignment, because most probably for first season, it's going to take time to establish the performances and you will have some inventory left. And we've seen it, Numbaino, for example, when we were going to the showroom, they had some partners coming and they were placing orders and they were actually saying, no, I know I'm going to have a return. So limit, if you work on consignment, limit the amount, limit what you're going to invest, because as David was mentioning, it's a big risk for you right now at this stage of your development of the brand.
If you manage a concession kind of agreement with which you manage the selection and you kind of take care, you know, you kind of check with the store every week what they sell, you do replenishment, things like that. This is also a good model who can help you to go way faster, but you need that someone from your team will have to have hands-on and, you know, go visit, give training to the associate. Don't leave them alone, you know, just to make sure that as soon as they sell something, you replenish, and, you know, this, you can grow the business very fast, but that need a lot of work from both sides. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, but we have 2 hours today, so we're already at almost half an hour. So I think we have to move right to the next one, Rafi.
Tanya, I think you were next.
I mean, I wish we can spend more times. You know, there's a lot to talk about, but we really have 2 hours today.
And that's it. This is just a kind of an appetizer. David and Julie have been very kind to also allow for another one-on-one afterwards, so you can go a little bit intimate. But this is more like general discussion in picking up some of the pain points in buying that you guys are facing. And hopefully they'll be diverse, but also common enough so it answers everybody's questions. But in the further sessions, they can go a lot more in depth with your business model specifically and look at everything that you guys are doing in a 360 approach to kind of advise you on better buying steps in the future. So just to kind of give a little bit more context on that, but Danya, you're next on our hit list.
Okay. So I currently sell online mainly on my website and on different retailers. I have a retailer in London, and online only, a retailer in Singapore, and then here in the region. And I do want to expand, and I do want to sell in really prestigious stores abroad, like in Selfridges, Harrods. I mean, that's the main goal. But it's been really difficult to get to buyers. I've sent out thousands of emails, and I'm pretty sure buyers get thousands of emails a day.
We do. We get a million of email. You have no idea. And this is a good topic that you touch, you know, about how to reach the buyer without alienating them. Because we get us, Arvinix, Bloomingdale, every buyer, Unas, like every buyer, we are, you know, people contacting us through our social media, through our LinkedIn, through the email, you know, through WhatsApp. They find,
oh my God,
they get her number from we don't know how, you know.
What's the best way to approach buyers? What, in your opinion?
Well, I personally, and maybe Julie have something different, you know, I personally think, you know, an email with a full presentation of the product. A full presentation, because I have to say, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years. I reply to about 10% of the email I receive. However, when there's an attachment, I always open it. And I did find good brand through the attachment. So if the attachment, you know, the picture, the product, at the end of the day, you know, we're working in beauty, in fashion, there's all the brands are there. So we're really looking for something specific, something with a DNA. We don't want a copy of the big brand already, because, for example, for us, we carry the big brand. We carry the Saint Laurent, we carry the Balenciaga. So we want specificity. We'd like to know, we're looking for the DNA, and we know this is what's worked, because sometimes we get a very small brand, we were just thinking about Loup Noir, you know, for example.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's very small brand, but then they're so exclusive, their DNA, it's very clear for the final customer to read. And
What
that
was the brand? Sorry, I just want to
Loup
Right then.
Noir, which is a handbag brand like you. I think you do handbag as well,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
So
spell that? Sorry.
Loup Noir, Loup, and then the second word Noir. Loup Noir.
Okay. And in your opinion, like, is it best to attach the lookbook and line sheet, or what are the materials that you'd like to
Any
see?
information, not too big as well, because you don't want, you know, to overload them. Editorial picture, your product. If you have some stock list too, if you work already with one or two, you know, reference, please put it on the body of your email. For example, if you're in Muse now with Chalou, you can say you are, you know, you have this point of sale, you're doing extremely well, you know, you have to sell yourself. So obviously you have to you know, to make sure that you get excited, but it's really about the product, guys. At the end of the day, we only care about one thing, is the product, the final product for our customer. We want to please our Triano customer, our SaaS customer. We want to give them a different point of view. So we want them, when they come to our location, that they don't find the same thing that they find on every retailer. So for this, we really need a different point of view. So the style of your, you know, your ambience, your DNA is the most important. You know, you're selling a dream. So we want to buy the dream.
Okay. But definitely email.
Yes, avoid WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is especially
Too
when it's
personal.
a personal number.
Yeah. WhatsApp or Instagram is not.
It's a no.
That's too personal. But
Too
then,
personal,
as
yeah.
David was mentioning emails, make it attractive, make it eye-catchy. The presentation, as you were saying, needs to be creative. You need to put straight information. Prices also is very important, because prices is going to make the difference also if we will come back to you or no, if we find that the prices is too high, for example.
So like a line sheet with our wholesale price and retail price?
Wholesale, always put wholesale.
Yeah, I think wholesale, you know, because it's very, sometimes we like something and then we look at it and then we're like, you know, they're overpriced. So then it gets us less curious. What I want to say is not about being cheap. It's about being well priced, you know, according to the quality of your product, you know, where you're sourcing your leather, you know, if your leather, you know, are made in Italy or made in Pakistan or made, you know, it depends of, you know, the pricing have to be the right pricing according to your product and to your competitor.
Okay. And in terms of pricing, I know that you said it should be like a flat margin of 40% for wholesale, but I'm really bad at math. So what's the formula? Like, let's say we have the cost, you multiply it by 2 or by 1.5.
Yeah. So if you take, let's say you on 100, you know, so if your margin have to be 40%, you know, so you sell it to us $100, okay? So you make on this $40 of profit, and it costs you $60. But on the $60 that it costs you, that need to include not only the fabric, but I need to include also your cost, you know, a percentage of your cost of your office, your showroom, your travel, you know, like it's not, you know, it's a percentage, you know, it's like the pricing. But, you know, at 100, and us, if we buy at 100, we most probably will sell it 250.
Yeah, okay. The-
250.
So you want
It's a 2.5 markup.
2.5,
So
okay.
the example on $100, it's very easy for understand. So it's mean that it costs you $60, you make $40. Then the retailer buy it for $100, they sell it for $250.
Okay.
This
I
is
think-
why with Mohammed before, we're saying that if you go lower than 40%,
you won't break even.
you won't break even.
Yeah.
It's going to be too tight for you. So
Yeah.
40% is the minimum. Of
Minimum.
course, if you can have good pricing and have a 50% margin, a 60% margin, if you want to do the opposite, But then I presume after your prices are going to become too expensive, because if you have your own retail as well, because you can have your own retail and having also client, you can work in both scenarios. But you are going to pay $60 and you're still going to sell it $250.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
this is where you make a big chunk of money margin,
Exactly. Currently, this is kind of my formula is, sorry, go ahead.
Right, just in product development, what you're doing usually before coming to the wholesale price that you're going to give to the buyer, you need, as David was mentioning, to calculate your own cost. You're going to have the cost, how much is it costing me to produce? Okay, overall, you need to put this final price, including the cost of the fabrics, the cost of communication, PR, the cost of transportation. This is your final price. Okay, final cost. And usually in product development, we use a markup to reach a wholesale price that will offer to the buyers. So it depends on for example, when I was in a mono brand in product development, we were using a markup. It was Big Bang Maris. It was like markup of 5. But when we started, the markup was 2.3. It really depends. When you're going to Galeries Lafayette in product development, the market is going to be big also because they have more resource, let's say, in terms of production, more volume. So you need to have this markup that you will always apply to the cost of your product to give the wholesale price, while you
2.3 isn't 2.3 too much? 2.3 isn't it too high?
2.3.
Yeah. Because then you
starting. If again, as David was mentioning, you have this, you need to make sure that it's covering what you're producing, the whole, and that you have also, you're breaking either even or making a bit of profit. So as a beginning, 2.3 doesn't look high, to be very honest. But then you need to just make sure that in your final cost, the price, you include everything, no surprise, no added extra costs just coming on your way. You need to make sure that in this final cost, you will always have a consistent markup to give the wholesale price to the buyer and ensure the 40/60 as David was mentioning.
Yeah, because on us markup, for example, because we buy it 100, we sell it 250. But on this, we don't make a straight 150 of profit because we have to include the rent. We pay millions of dollars of rent. Our associate, us, our salary, our travel, our hotel, so there's a lot, our marketing team, if it comes from the GC, there's no duty, but if it comes from outside, we have to pay duty, so there's a lot of cost, so even us after it goes. So this is why we normally work with a 2.5 markup, because there's a big part of the money that it go on our cost,
You need in terms of production, and this is something that you have in common also with Paul and Relais and perhaps the other brands. You have the buying part, basically, that is buying the final product, and you have buying the production. So you need to be able to understand, I don't know if it's through a workshop but what is your cost to produce this product? How can I be more competitive? What is your competition? What is the final price that you want to have in retail? All of this you need to, before coming to the buyer, you need to work backward.
Yeah.
And when you will have all those information, all those details in terms of production, and again, you're going to have it's not going to be consistent. Some months, for example, the fabric is going to be more expensive. We were talking about cotton, the trading of cotton, some things might go higher. So all of this, you need to make sure that you always keep something flat.
Yeah.
And at the end, you have, again, your cost, final cost for you, how much you're going to make, what is your markup, and what you're presenting to the buyers. So you have the buying aspect of the final products, and you have the production development of your product that you need to be also on top before presenting it.
Okay.
And to be a little bit aligned with what we're discussing earlier with Mohamed, with the pricing, consignment versus own bought. One thing that is important, if we buy, we need to have a margin of 60%. There's no retailer who will buy. So this is why your pricing have to be aligned. If you guys are not able to give a margin of 60%, this is when come consignment, where normally the margin for consignment is 40%. You know, so some brands are not able to give us, you know, a 60% margin. So they prefer to do consignment because then, you know, the margin then for us it's 40%. But if you do own bought, your pricing have to be more or less equal 60% margin for the retailer.
For you, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one question, if you allow me. So now we're in the middle of the season. So we are selling the same of our products. However, there is a huge inflammation in the market, and the logistics now are affected of this inflammation. So what we do in that situation? Because the inflammation affected the market price of the goods.
You mean the price, the exchange rate, or more the what had inflate the
Oh, in the market, I mean in the goods. So if we go to the material, the raw material, the prices for leathers, fabrics are higher now. The prices for logistics are higher now, and we are in the middle of the season. You have a fixed price that have them, you know, out, and everybody knows it.
Yes, that's a super good point. This is exactly why when you work on your collection, you need, when you do your pricing, you need to secure those costs. And it's very, and this is a go back to the, then when I say you have to have a minimum of 40% margin, because normally with that minimum, that can allow you to kind of balance, that price. One thing you cannot do, you cannot sell a collection to, to a retailer, and then before delivery said, oh, unfortunately, because of, inflation, because the leather get more expensive, there's a 20, 10, 20, 30% increase on the pricing. This is not something you can do with retailer. So it's really like a contract. When a buyer decides to invest on you and they decide to pay a certain price, it is really your responsibility to grant that price. This is why most of the brand, right there on the salon, at the end of the salon, if they do a training show, if they do a showroom campaign, as soon as they get the order, they book their fabric. It's something that they do. This is why they're asking for the 30% advance payment, because when they get that 30%, they book their fabric. So normally from the time of the order to the time that they book their fabric, it's a maximum of 2-3 weeks. So it should not impact on the prices so much from that.
And then if you have inflation about transportation, because it happens, especially with COVID, it's a different story. You need to understand what is the most efficient way for you to ship. Is it through airplane? Is it through road in the region?
Yeah.
We do it through road. Is it through boats? But all of that you will need, even though to absorb the difference, you cannot impact it on the price to you to the.
Because the retailer absorb those prices. You know, when the euro go up and down, you know, like we buy probably 70% of our brand in euro, you know, and there's been, you know, so much variation, you know, but we cannot change the final price to our customer because we're working with a AED price list or a Bahraini dinar price list. So we need to get a hit on a margin. So it's the same thing, you know, like it's really, you know, like when the cost, you know, when there were no flight not long time ago, the cost to import good was rocking. So we did not charge it back to our designer. We got the hit on our margin onto this. So this is the same thing for you. So it's really like you need, this is why your margin, your price structure need to allow you a little fluctuation. You need to. If you're too tight, this is when it can get dangerous for your business, you know, like bottom line, net profit line.
You need to have an extra buffer just to make sure that no matter what is coming on your way, especially David was mentioning with COVID, how many cancellations happened with COVID? So if you're really tight in terms of margin, it's going to be there. You're putting yourself and your company at risk.
I hope we answer your question, Qatar. I think
so
you
too.
yeah.
I wanted to ask a question, kind of piggybacking off Dania's question. I think we lost Kauthar for a second there. Anyway, this is a recorded session, so she'll get the answer regardless. But Dania asked about, you know, like communicating with buyers and sending them the right info on the right channel. My follow-up question to that is, when is the best time to send you these things?
Not during market.
My suggestion here, we work on the OTD. So every season, you know, we work with our finance, and this had to be approved by her, you know, general manager, and then to approve by the group, head of the group, the president of the group. They give us a bucket of money. So the best chance to include a new brand is at the beginning of the process. If you come after the market, and you know, guys, when is the market, because you all follow the fashion week. So if it's during or after the fashion week, we basically don't have any more money. So my suggestion for this, for the local, is to work prior to the fashion week. So now we know the next season is going to be fall winter 22. Fall winter 22, we are starting buying now the pre-collection in November, in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, we're going to fly to Paris and to London and to Milan, and then we are going to start booking our fall winter 22. The fashion show for fall winter 22 are going to happen in, you know, New York, Paris, Milan in February. So the best chance for the regional designer will be to contact the buyer now for fall winter 22 up to December. This is the best window. When we get in November, in February, we run out of money. We don't have money anymore because we have been spending everything, and we cannot take risk also to keep bucket of money in February because maybe we don't find anything, and we need to spend that money because it match the store sales, you know. So the earliest we book it, the earliest we spend it, the better it is. And also it helps the delivery, because if we book your order in November, December, that's giving you a good 6 months for the delivery to get, you know, in May, June, August, you know. So the earlier delivery is always better for better sell-through and for us to grow the order the following season. So really, in terms of timing, I will really say prior the fashion week. So if you know that the fall winter fashion week are in February, you really need to contact the buyer from, you know, November, December, January latest. And then for spring, the fashion show are in September. So, and we buy most of the pre-collection in May, June, July. So this is really for spring season, you need to contact the buyer in May, June, and July. This is the best month that the buyer will still have some leverage, still have some money to spend.
Even though you're not planning to go yet international, you need to be aware of the international fashion calendar. If you want to reach on the right timing, the buyers. Most of you right now might be finalizing SS22, perhaps, and ready to show them, but you need to catch up on that. Because SS22, we closed it like a few weeks back, and most of the budget, as David was mentioning, has been spent in May, June. And this is something you really need to be aware of, because we've seen it working with most of the local designer here. They're a season behind, let's say, most of the time. So you need just to make sure that you're aware of the international calendar. Right now, we are focusing on fall winter 22. You might be closing SS22. You might still approach some retailers that might have some budget left or no, but they will start for fall winter 22. So you need to sit and understand what you're going to do with this intermediary season.
And I have a follow-up question to this. Does the same logic apply to special collaborations, special drops, limited pieces, et cetera, et cetera?
More or less, yes. So basically, you, again, international calendar, and this depends on your segment. If you're men, women, access, etc. So you're going to have fall winter, as David was mentioning. Fall winter, we start in November, December for the pre, and then for the main, it goes up to March, let's say. Then you're going to have spring summer. Spring summer starts May, June, and it goes up to September, October. You need to really target and contact the buying at the beginning, even in advance of the pre-collection. So they have you in their mind and they're like, okay, perhaps I'm going to allocate some budget to this brand. Let's see. Same for, as Rafi was asking about special collaboration, limited edition, if it needs also to follow the international calendar.
Yeah, I mean, then it's a catch-22, Rafi. I mean, now we have the best example. We are working, you know, everybody know in Dubai, in UAE, this year is the Golden Jubilee, is the 50-year anniversary of the UAE. So we decided together with marketing, not long time ago in August, that we would like to have a little, you know, pop-up to celebrate the 50 year of UAE inside Triano store in Abu Dhabi, together with the expo happening in UAE, all of this. So we've been contacting some brand to have special collaborations, special, you know, exclusive style. But that was a one-off, you know, it's not something that, you know, so yeah, we are getting, I think, 5 new brands, mostly local brand. From the UAE, but also international brand who are going to do some exclusive style celebrating the 50 year of the UAE. So it's a catch-22, you know, you can, you know, it's really be at the right time, at the right place, you know.
It's about having the shoulders. You have the shoulder to be able to produce on spot and honor your commitments. If you're starting, because we've been talking with brands, we know they have the capacity in terms of production to deliver in a month. If you're not sure you have it, don't do it until you have the production capacity.
Cool, thank you. I think Dalia, you were next. If you wanted to kind of tell the guys a little bit about your fashion brand ambitions.
Okay, so human error, basically it's short for Social Society of Human Errors, and it's basically based on collaborations. So most of the clothes are exclusive wear when you were just talking about it. But for now, we're only selling in Khobar and Riyadh and Jeddah, which is in Saudi. Of course, we want to go internationally. But for now, I'm manufacturing in Pakistan, which is kind of hard for me because of the fabrics. I'm getting the fabrics from them, but I'm trying to find a way to get the fabrics from another place and then manufacture with them, but still not finding the right fabric sellers. So as I said before, it's based on collaboration. So I'm just trying to figure out how to deliver that idea in good quality and of course, good pricing.
Are you working with an agent to source factories and fabrics?
No, actually, I do that myself.
Okay. And how do you do it?
I research a lot and I contact the manufacturers, ask for samples, create my own samples with them, whether it's fabrics, if I need to make full prints on fabric, embroideries, anything I need, so I can see the full potential of the manufacturer I'm working with.
So what is the biggest challenge you're facing into this? Is this only
mainly because it's based on collaboration. So I need to deliver the idea of the person I'm collaborating with to the manufacturer and not just my idea. So when it comes to the fabric itself, sometimes it's very challenging, but so far it hasn't been like that bad. Like I had really, really good products, really good items come from Pakistan out of those collaborations. Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, you guys look frozen. So I kind of want to touch on this point. You guys mentioned that kind of the country of origin or where it's made makes a difference in your buying decision, in the pricing decision. You know, I know there's a huge disparity between obviously Southeast Asia versus Europe and manufacturing there. How much does country of origin or where the piece is manufactured play into, you know, your buying decision of a particular brand? Like,
yeah,
is it?
I mean, this is a very good question. This is a very good question because it's more important than where it's made of. It's where it's shipped from. And this is really a breaking point. So if we take, I mean, the example of Dahlia, I don't know if she made it in Pakistan and then the retailer have to pick it up from Pakistan, it's one thing. If, you pick it up, so we have no problem buying brand, from Southeast Asia, but then they ship it from Paris, they ship it from Milan, where we have a good rate of forwarding agent. If there's a brand coming from South Africa, for example, and we don't have other brand coming from South, is made in South Africa, we don't have other brand from South Africa, then it might actually be a turn off for us, because to manage logistics, to find a forwarder from South Africa to ship to UAE might be, and there's also the taxes, different country, then you go into a loss of specificity. What is most important for us, it's really where it's shipped from. So
Hong Kong, mostly for the Asia. We have a lot from New York too.
A lot from the US, yeah, from New York.
A lot from the US. We have some brands, for example, Vince is shipping a bit from Amsterdam. We choose in that case DHL. It's fast, the prices are reasonable. Then it depends with what Incoterms you're going to work with the retailers. If it's Exworks, and in that case we're taking care of the shipment, then yes, it has to be in a specific location. And if it's DDP, basically you're taking care of the shipment to the retailers, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Because, as in we calculate the margin and our pricing, the example before the $100 wholesale price to $50. If your brand is from, Moscow, and we buy $50,000 in Moscow, is it really worth it for us to do 2 or 3 delivery a season from one brand coming out of Russia to air. So we need to, you know, in terms of shipment, it really need to be consolidated with other brand, you know. So the most important is really where the brand is shipping from. If you are offering, you know, a X work price, it's super important to know where the brand is shipping from, you know. If you're based in Saudi, like most of you today, like all of you today, it will be really the best that all your products are shipped directly from Saudi, wherever you made the production from.
Dania, I believe you're shipping from Europe, right? Is it from what we remember? Is it Scotland or?
It's from Ireland, actually.
Ireland, okay. How do you manage? Are you working X work or DDP? Like, do you take care of the transport?
Yeah, so basically the reason why Ireland is because I partnered up with like an order fulfillment company, a logistics company. So they take care of my shipments, the order packing and shipping, everything, storage. So yeah, I do door to, yeah, DDP.
Again, this goes back to David and what he was saying about the structure of your prices and the margin, and if it's more advantageous for you to work DDP or X work. It all goes back to the 60% that.
Yeah, no, that cost is included in my cost, the logistics cost.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Dalal, you had a question. If you can, we already kind of did early stage intro. So if you could just tell them a little bit about your brand, and then you can ask.
Of course. I'm sorry for being late.
No problem.
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of Cones and Rods. My partner isn't here today; she's working. But we are a sustainable luxury eyewear brand, and we focus mainly on limited edition production and using raw materials. So we currently sell in Italy, Saudi, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Dubai soon. So this is an overview, a quick overview. But thank you guys for asking all the questions that you've asked. I think they were very beneficial. But asking about the 40-60%. So just because we are a limited edition brand, I just wanted to ask if we can restrict the buyers into buying a minimum order of quantity. So if we're doing wholesale, can we ask them that, okay, you can do the 40-60, but then you need to order X amount of products?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And this is your total right. And we are dealing with minimum purchase from, I want to say like 90% of the brand that we buy. The 250 brand have minimum purchase. We don't have problem to follow them because we buy a lot. But you know, every brand have a minimum purchase. It's normally go to I'm talking in euro, it's 8,000 to 10,000 euro that they, you know, but this is more for ready to wear. In terms of glasses, accessory, if you don't plan to mark down your product at the end of the season, then the margin can be a little bit lower, because it's true that for accessory, for Luxottica, you know, like in my previous life, we work a lot with Luxottica to, you know, to in Prada and in Dolce, which, you know, they're making, and the margin, it's more around 40% for the sunglasses. Okay. So because the lifetime of the product is way longer than a fashion product. Exactly. Yeah. You know, product is smaller, easy to ship. You know, so there's a lot of advantage about having accessory. And I think, you know, for I don't know what's your average price point of your product?
Yeah, it's around $440, $440.
Retail or sale?
Retail.
Retail.
No, sale. I mean sale. Yeah. Retail price.
Retail price, 440. Yeah.
About sale. Yeah.
So yeah, so you know, so I presume, you know, so your wholesale price must be around, how do you sell it? Like the one at 440, how much you're selling it wholesale?
We still haven't done wholesale yet. We got one offer that was 30%, 70%, which was something we quite didn't agree on. And so we didn't take the deal. We felt like it was too low for us to go, and they didn't ask for much product. So this is why I asked, is it okay to ask for a minimum order of quantity? And it's because they asked a one full set, which is 19 pieces, and it's to us, that's nothing.
Absolutely. No, this is, you know, totally right. After also, it's about, you know, we work in the business of image.
Yeah.
So also it's your decision to be flexible or not, according to who you want to work with. You know, for example, you know, I'm going to give a store that is closed today, but that will have been a good benchmark. I'm sure you know Colette in Paris.
Yeah, obviously.
You know, yeah. So Colette in Paris, they're you know, they don't pay in advance, and they probably don't follow the minimum order. However, putting your product there will get you the next season about 20 to 30 new store worldwide, because, you know, as every buyer, each time you're in Paris, you go to Colette and you go on the brand, you know. So sometimes you do have to be flexible for the right partner, you know. Because maybe a brand, maybe for us sometimes, you know, sometimes we're like, okay, they have a minimum of 10, 15,000, and then we're like, okay, we're going to put you in one location. We're going to do a test. If it's worked well, then the next season, we're going to roll you over to other point of sale, you know? So also it's about strategize. So I think it's good to have a minimum buy, but because we work on the image and you know where you want to be, where you want to be sell, which retailer you want to be associated with. So this is the most important to launch. So you need to be a little bit flexible to start the right relationship from the beginning. Then when you become bigger, it's easier to have, you know, to be a little bit straight. But now I think when you launch the brand, it's very, very important that you identify, you know, which market, you know, you want to be in, you know, in I don't know, Neiman Marcus in the US, because, you know, they know that they have 40 store after to give you, you know, so maybe the first season you are a little bit more flexible with them, and then if it's worked well, if you believe in your product, then after they put you in 40 store. So it's really there's no magic formula in this, and I think it's really, you need to know where you want to go and who you want to be associated with, and then you might be flexible. Maybe the people who were giving you that order, they were not that interesting for you. I don't know which retailer it is, but maybe that was not someone you want to be, you think the long way, you know. As I said before to Mohamed, it's a business relationship. Both parties have to find, it's not a favor, you know, both parties have to find their way. The retailer has to buy a product that is right for his customer, and at the end of the day, make money out of it. And you too, you have to be able to make money out of it and to bring the brand where you want to bring it.
Okay. And can they, so I don't know how the contract goes, but how much can they, the prices differ from our original prices, like our selling points online, and by how much they sell it in store? So, because obviously they can play around with the price as much as they want, since they.
No, they cannot.
Okay.
They cannot.
Okay.
And this
All
is really something you decide.
Okay.
And it's very important. It's a very important point. I think the pricing, you know, margin, all of this, right pricing is one of the most important things to go, you know, to launch. And it's very important that if you on your own website, you sell your sunglasses $450, the retailer have to sell you sunglasses for 50.
Okay. Yeah.
And if they don't, you can, call them, they need to adjust, and they will adjust it. They will adjust. Pricing is very important because you cannot have your website for 50 and then on Unas is 400 and then on Triano is 300. It's your customer, you're going to alienate your customer, and it's very easy. We think it's a big market, but at the end of the day, it's a very small market. Everybody know each other, and then if someone buy a brand lower somewhere, you will find out soon enough.
Okay, and I'm sorry, but my last question would be, so because it's focused on limited edition and handmade, so I'm glad you mentioned Luxottica. Luxottica does mass production and it's super fast, so the supply chain is like right after each other. So for us, the time frame is very slow. And so for us entering the market, so you said you need to contact them on November, like for season 2022, we still haven't finished it yet, obviously. So can we still go?
Your product is specific. So really all the comments we said today was really for fashion. I mean, you're doing fashion, but it's another category, you know. You don't really have to follow the regular calendar for your type of product. It's really, I think, people who will buy you will probably would like to have more an action reaction, meaning like they buy you and then within 3 months they get the delivery or something like that. But I think it can be within all years. And I believe your business is also a replenishment business as well. It's order that, if a model sell well, then you replenish it, you offer it, order color variation, order, so it's glasses, sunglasses, it's another, type of product. There's a big group in Dubai called Al Jaber. I'm sure you know it. It's managed by a very nice gentleman who's been doing this business for a very long time, and he's making a lot of concession within department store. So for example, for us, most of our sunglasses go through Al Jaber. So he's having kind of a concession of a multi-brand within our store. So he kind of own the market for all the regular sunglasses or glasses. Your product it's very specific, so I think it'd be interesting for you in any case to meet with them, because it can really help you to bring you to the next level while taking your exclusive approach and because they're really the expert. Unless the other region, they kind of own the market here, like they're really very everywhere. Where you see sunglasses, you have Al Jaber involved,
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I kind of wanted to ask a question. We'll talk about price control. What about sale control? Let's say a retailer has decided to buy some stock and hold it, so not on consignment, and they wanted to go on sale, but let's say you're an exclusive brand and you never go on sale. Have you guys faced something like this in the past? And what's a good way to kind of say, hey guys, please don't put my items on sale. We're an exclusive brand. We'd like to retain our image. It'll be interesting to kind of get your feedback on that.
Here we have to look at two things. As per the law, retailers are allowed to put everything on sale. This is, the market in UAE, in Europe, everywhere. If you buy something, you can, put it on sale. Will it work? The relationship with the brand? Probably not. So this is why people are respecting it. in most of the case, when a brand doesn't want to put on sale and then we have a loss of stock, what we ask, it's a RTV. It's a return to vendor. So it's mean that, okay, you're not allowing us to put on sale because of, you know, the market. So we're offering you to take back your stock, maybe to do a swap, to, you know, to send us something different, you know. This is in 95% of the case, you know, this is the scenario. We arrange our RTV of the brand. But as per the law, you know, at the end of the season, any retailer are allowed to go on markdown. But once again, it's a relationship. So, you know, you want to keep, you know, we are following on 250 brands that we buy, we are following 250 markdown calendar in terms of carryover, in terms of percentage, in terms of date, you know. It's not easy to manage, you know, but, you know, we are managing it. So this is why when a brand have no markdown policy, normally they have to tell us when we do the buy and not after. So they will say, you know, for example, the glasses that we just talked before, I think it's a good example because we probably don't want to put this product on markdown at the end of the season because it's a carryover, and you also want to kind of teach your client that this product is only full price and the lifetime of the product is longer. So this is something you discuss when you do the buy, you know. What is the exit strategy at the end of the season, at the end of the year, you know?
Same for fashion. Most of the time, we always request to see what are the seasonal products, aka should go on markdown, and what are the carryover that will not go on markdown. And based on that, we know that, okay, perhaps that fashion is a bit different than handbag, but we might have 20%, no, 15-20% max of the selection that will not go on markdown. So we will take it. But the rest, we know as it's seasonal, it will go on markdown. And as David was mentioning, it's a relationship. We receive the markdown policy and the guidance from the brand, and we'll make sure to be aligned, because at the end of the day, if the brand is with different retailers within the region, we need all to be aligned. So it's in no one's interest to try to go on its own.
I have a follow-up question. Sorry, does anybody have any specific questions? I'm trying to ask questions that will be interesting for everybody. But did you have questions that you wanted to ask? Or Mo, go for it. Yeah.
I can write after Jude if you have a question.
Very gentleman of you. Jude, do you have anything you wanted to ask David and Julie?
No, your questions are very helpful as well. But you mentioned you can do like minimum purchase orders. Is that related to quantity as well, or is it just an amount?
It can be by quantity, it can be with your production flow, especially if you know, you depend on how many retailer you have, but if your production is asking you for every SKU that you produce a minimum of 20 pieces, and that, you know, the retailer are the only one buying this specific style, you know, then that might be tricky to request 20 pieces for the retailer. Say, okay, if you want to buy this dress or this jacket, you need to buy 20 pieces. So I would be careful about going into minimum per SKU. I think an average, depending on the price point, of 5 pieces per SKU, if it's under $200, it will be a regular, you know, minimum, you know. Some brand, I mean, we just had the case yesterday with one of the brand that we're working, and then, you know, they come back, you know, we send them the order, and then they came back, and then they're like, they need to produce, I think it was 25.
It was 50 sets, so 100 pieces extra to the original order. You need to be very clear.
to, yeah, you know, because we cannot, it's, then they have to work better with their production flow. So we cannot increase the quantity of 2 or 3 styles by 50 pieces in order for them to produce it, you know. So we told them, unfortunately, we cannot go with it, you know. So if, you know, we were giving them a pretty decent order, the amount of the order was $20,000. So that was a pretty decent, but we cannot increase by 50 pieces to reach their production minimum.
I think, yeah,
But once again, it goes from the beginning, and it's really this thing, it's really the relationship, guys. And I really want to make sure you guys, it's the business have to be profitable for both sides. And it's really important that, you know, your minimum order, minimum by quantity, it's a discussion that you have with the buyer, and you explain them your point of view at the time of the buying, not after. For example, the example of yesterday was after. So we did the buying, nothing was problem, and a week after, they, you know, they came back with this.
Sorry.
We can have minimum value. Most of the time, it's true, we are working with minimum amount, and then they split. Like, for example, if you have this style to be produced into 20 units, and you have 2 or 3 buyers, you split, you ask them each to have, I don't know, 6, 7 units for this SKU. This is happening. We have some brands, we know that the minimum units per SKU is for, this is different, okay, between 4 and 20. You need to be, to think how you're going to split it based on how many buyers or accounts you're going to have.
Yeah, because then what matters is, or what's different for production is the production cost. So do we cost it at a minimum quantity that we're producing, or do we put the cost down for a larger quantity? Because if we're making 20, it's costing us a lot more than making 200 or 250.
Yeah, you have to be kind of a projection that you and your sales team have to evaluate previous with your you know, your manufacturer, you know. So you need to think, okay, this season, how much turnover I'm going to get. And I understand that in the beginning might be tricky because you don't know. So that relationship you need to have with the buyer, you need to have also with your manufacturer. You know, you need to, the one who make, you know, you have to be kind of following you into this, because maybe this year you're going to give them $20,000 of production. Hopefully the season after you're going to triple that to 100, and then the season after you go to 500,000, you know. So it's really, you know, in terms of, you know, production flow, it's very tricky. If you have your own retail with this, that's also help, because you can plan your base order for your retail, and then wholesale kind of tag into it. So that helps you to have bigger production flow. If you only do a wholesale, then you really need to push also the buyer, not pushing them too hard, but pushing them when they do the order to say, this is the key pieces of my collection. This is this color you need to buy. And, you know, so maybe, I don't know your collection, but maybe instead of having 100 SKU, you have a smaller collection, maybe 30 SKU, you know, and then so you're sure that every SKU have a good production flow, because more your collection is wide, more it's get harder for production as well. More you know, sometimes, you know, we go to small designer, and then, you know, they have like 200 SKU for their first order, and then they're like, they have a book of swatch, and they're like, oh, you can make any color you want. And I always, it's good for the buyer, but it's not good for the designer. So I will always suggest that you have less option possible, because this is your brand. It's again your DNA. You're the designer, and you need to, be strong into your offer, with less option possible, and that help you for the production flow. Less option you have, better it is for your production flow.
It's a merchandising collection. You need to work on the skeleton. How many SKU do you want for bottoms, for tops? Do you want accessories? And for each season, you work on this skeleton of your collection, and you will be able also to do projections based on how many accounts you're working. What is the minimum order you want to give? Is it $5,000 and you're assuming that those 3 accounts are going to take $5,000 and you're going to end up with 15? How are you going to split this $15,000 into your production? And how many, and then you're going to take it to your manufacturer and say, okay, I need to produce 10 SKU. How much is it going to cost me? And you balance with what it's really projection, how you build your collection, how many accounts, what is your final price also with the buying, but again, the skeleton is easy for you.
Do you guys start smaller with the smaller designers, or is there like a strategy you go into when you know it's like a small company, or do you, because I don't know if you would make a larger order or not?
Yeah, I think what is important is also which, retailer you are, targeting. If you are targeting an online retailer, then the selection, if it's only online, then the selection can be more tight, can be a little bit smaller, can be more straight to the points, If you're targeting a boutique, a concept store, also the offer, can be smaller, because in a small boutique, in a small concept store, the salesperson is really going to, to style, to mix and match with other brands. When you're talking with department store, like who we are, the collection that we buy have to be a little bigger, because then it gets lost in the store, because we have 250 brands. So we're not interested in buying 3 to 4 SKU for brand. We buy a minimum, I think, of 12 to 20 SKU, depending on the brand. And you need to have the full look, because we need to be able to display your brand on the mannequin. So, you need to have, as Julie say, a top, bottom, jacket. You need to have layering pieces. We need to create a story. So it is very important, depending of, what type of retailer you want to work. If you want to work broad, you need to cover, all the category to create the full look. Especially for department store. For little boutique or concept store, then sometimes they only buy a certain type of product from yourself, because maybe you're strong in hoodie, and then they will only buy hoodie from you, and that's going to be. But in department store, we need to create the world of. So we you have a rack, so, and on every of a rack that we have in the store, there's about 12 SKU per rack. So depending on how we do, we need to be able to fill the rack only for your brand, because we will never mix 2 brands in one rack, which smaller store or department store or concept store, they will mix all the brand together, But for us, every brand have to have its own ambience, so its own section in the store.
It depends on the distribution strategy you want to give to your brand.
I think I haven't yet worked with wholesale in depth, but I noticed the smaller stores will order smaller quantities, and it's harder to fulfill smaller quantities than it is larger orders, because then it doesn't cover, unless you have so many accounts, it doesn't cover costs for production. Because you're pricing it at a point where you're doing a large order. And if someone's just ordering 10 pieces from 100, 200 or 250 pieces, that's not enough.
You mean 10 pieces or 10 SKU?
10, like 10 pieces of the SKU, for example.
How many SKU you have in your collection per season, for example?
So for me, I don't have specific seasons where it's like summer, winter. I do have drops that happen within the seasons, but it's more related to what's happening, collaborations, or I mean, for me, for my brand, it's more of the story and the characters, and each collection kind of has its own story with what's, you know, occurring or is gonna happen. So it's more of a creative strategy than it is about numbers and just having a collection for having a collection, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but when you present when it's time to present to the buyer, I'm looking at your picture, you know, of some of your collection, which is quite nice, by the way. Like how many SKU you're presenting?
So it varies. In total, I have maybe like 50 SKUs, but the way we haven't gotten to my part where I talk about how I structure and sell, but basically I have my e-commerce, and I have a couple of retailers in Jeddah and Riyadh, and I do pop-ups or like activations. Since my brand is very lifestyle and story-based centric, I find it that when I'm there to kind of explain the story and have one-on-one with the customer, that, you know, that's how I kind of build my customer acquisition and bring in like loyal people who are buying into the story and not just the product. So I'm selective in like the retailers I'm in. I don't have it spread out in a lot of places. I try to be selective in even the items that I have in the stores. But I've done, so I started in 2019, so not too long ago. And I started with just 2 SKUs and, you know, kind of just grew from there. I've recently done last August, I think it was, a trade show in Las Vegas to kind of present my products. And it was very positive in terms of marketing feedback. But at the same time, it was even the more of the, I don't know if it was the trade show itself or the way it was brought up, but
it is, yeah, maybe for your, I mean, from what I look from your brand we're on your Instagram page now. Maybe the Vegas maybe was not the right place for, you know, to your brand is really a little bit more confidential. It's to be very streetwear, like with a big DNA, you know. You know, maybe that trade show, you know, was not the best, you know, which is a more mass market trade show in Vegas, you know.
Yeah, so the one I joined in was more of a streetwear show, there wasn't a lot of varieties of, it wasn't a huge selection of mass market or known brands. It was more of underground.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the buyer who visit that trade show, the
Yeah.
one who go to Vegas, you know,
Yeah.
then they have a concept that trade show, they try to, you know, make it a little bit more pointu, they try to make it a little bit more like specific, you know, but then the buyer, you need to have the right buyer visiting the trade show, and the one who go to Magic, who go to that, you know, world of Vegas for the trade show are not, are a little bit less, you know, the target for this type of brand.
Yeah, so, you know, I'd love to do like more in depth for our one-on-one. I don't want to, you know, kind of take a lot of time from other questions, but basically I wanted to get into wholesale for the reason of, like you said, the cash flow. When doing with retailers, you kind of have to wait until a lot of stuff comes back, and then to kind of reinvest and do production. And then the time frame for, because there's a lot of, it's harder being in Saudi with the lack of resource to kind of produce and fulfill from here. So
Where do you produce?
right now I'm in I'm in LA. I produce, and I used to, so I think I'm kind of in the middle of kind of figuring out my, or kind of my supply chain of trying to make.
Are you based in Saudi, or you also based in LA?
No, I'm based in Saudi. I'm based in Jeddah.
You're based in Jeddah, and just a question for us to understand, why would you produce in LA? Which is 15, like more than 20 hours flight from Jeddah.
I know that's
not even a direct flight.
I know, yeah. So I used to live in San Diego, and I think part of the research and development when I was starting the brand, the US seemed like you know what you're getting, and the communication is easy. It's kind of, okay, you're paying more for it, but you know the quality that you're getting, you know the right facilities, they can do smaller quantities. And I was doing the printing as well. I was doing, so I had a mixture of production, kind of supply chain, but for printing, I was doing printing here. And then I realized that because there's a lack of resource and there's not a lot of printers who do it well, so the markup margins were very high. So even going into my the trade show, I'd need to find a full production that's doing everything there to kind of just stay afloat with what the wholesale market is over there. Because even going into it, I couldn't set a price even close to what the market is, because my production was higher than the wholesale prices.
Of course, yeah. No, but it is a big, you know, producing in the US, it's a, you know, it's very expensive that people take, and more than this, you're dealing with a lot of taxes and things like that. But moreover,
and shipping,
I think you should be around. I think whatever you do, if especially a small brand, I think you should be close to the production, because you need to look at it, you need to push them, you know, because they, you know, like, so you need to visit them, you need to push them, or you have someone on location taking care of this. But really, for me to have your production through 19 hours, not even on the same time zone, you know, like for me, it's a little, you're putting a lot of, you know, struggle into the process, you know, you complicate it you know, everything, or you have someone there to really, that you trust, that is really taking care of this, or you need to be a little bit more involved, you know, in terms of the production flow, you know, and you need to visit them, you know, you really need to, you know, to be involved. And then if you're planning to sell in the US, then this is okay, production in LA is great, but you know, how does that affect your pricing for the Middle East market? You know, then, you know, like the cost of US production plus the taxes plus the transportation back here, you will not make it, you won't be able to do wholesale. You can only do retail, I think, you know, because your margin will be too tight, your product will be too expensive to be attractive. So the only way, if you do direct, you know, selling through Instagram, through your website, you know. But I think as a general rule, for not for your situation, but for any situation, I think especially when you start, it's really important to be close to your production, because at the end of the day, it's your product that you know, so you know, you need to be there, you need to push them, you need to make sure that, you know, they deliver the top and the bottom at the same time, and not, you know, like it's very important you follow this. And for this, unfortunately, you need to be on location. You need to visit them, you know.
That's been a struggle, I think, because as I mentioned, I was doing some of the printing here, and I do samples, send them over, and then before I could start, you know, getting into it. And that's why I started really small. But and now I'm finding it, even having it here or doing it here, is I wouldn't find the same quality. So I do have it in the plan that I need to find, you know, additional places to find production and kind of a source from there. But that has been a struggle as well, because you don't know, research isn't always very effective to know what's, you know, a trusted factory, and that at the same time, a factory that would be willing to work with you when you're, you know, kind of smaller and have lower.
You need to go to the fairs. Again, you have amazing sources here locally in GC where you can produce. You're going to decrease the cost of manufacturing. You're going to have great value for money. We were talking about earlier Pakistan. You have Bangladesh also for cotton. If you don't want to go there, Europe, East Europe is amazing. You have Portugal, and you have tons of fair trade that you can attend to sell the fabrics. But if you don't feel yet at this stage, you can have an agent. We used to have an agent that was in charge of all our production in Portugal, and we were sourcing the pants, we were producing the shirts and the t-shirts, and as David was mentioning, it's crucial if you either you're next to your production, either you have someone you trust, an agent that will be able always be negotiating for you the best prices, always finding the best factories. This is key, because if you keep producing in LA when you're targeting the Middle East market, the prices are going to be super high. You will never break even. You will never be profitable. So you need.
I have one question.
First things first, go and try to find the right factory for your production. And if you need to have someone in between, find the right agent. And to find the right agent, you need to have contacts, you need to go to fair trades, you have Première Vision, you go online, you need to do a lot of researches. But again, you have this, and you have the greenhouse, you have us who've been working with brands also, you have at your disposition tons of information, use it.
Quality of production, you know, it's you know, yes, there's some brand who you know, like a Rafi question about where it comes from, you know, yes, you know, like of course, you know, if it's from, you know, Italy, mostly have the best, you know, type of quality. However, the fabric, you know, the material, the raw material is the most important. Then after, it's easy to, especially if it's a small production flow, to even produce here in the Saudi or in Dubai, because they have, and if you are on location, what is important is the material, then after you have great factory here too, like if it's a small production. I will say if you produce less than, $100,000 a year of product, it's probably the best to produce locally.
How many brands here have their own workshop? They have their own workshop here. They have people producing, they're importing the fabrics, and you have an eye on it. And in terms of cost, nothing to compare with what you're going through now.
Yeah. No, if you have a list of like sources or recommendations, I'm currently, it's been, for me, it's been really hard because I've been doing everything. I haven't yet, started to.
The quality of your material is really, then after the quality of production, if you're on location, you can manage this. You can really, rule this, So the only thing you need to import, to be honest, is the fabric, is the material.
And you have some factories that are also providing the fabric. It's up to you. I remember initially Balibaris who were buying the fabrics from Italy, very expensive, and they found a way to find someone in China to produce the exact same quality, same pattern, prices, nothing to compare with. So again, you just need to look into it. If you want to still have the hand over your fabric, you buy it, and then you bring it to the factory. You pick the right factory that is going to have the right finishing for you, or you decide to have your own workshop, or you decide to have a factory that will import the fabric and produce entirely the product.
So tomorrow we'll jump into more the supply chain side. So we'll cover this particular topic in a little bit more depth. Just FYI, guys. Kauthar, you had a question. Your hand is up.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Sorry to interrupt. So I have this small brand. We are completing 2 years, inshallah, by the end of the year. So we just had our first wholesale experience. So we were, sorry, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we went good. However, of course, they took advantage of their name, the platform that took wholesale from us. So the payment was 30 days. It was not in advance. And we don't mind because we still had a small margin. We had a small profit out of it. However, we did not set up the shipping. We didn't know who will be responsible for the shipping because it's a huge quantity that they order for a small brand. So it's just a little difficult for us to negotiate the terms between us.
Yeah. So the terms and, payment terms, minimum quantity, it's all at the time of the buying, guys. It's all of this you guys negotiate on the buying. So where are you shipping from, your brand in Qatar?
I'm shipping from Saudi Arabia to Dubai.
To Dubai, yeah. So normally the wholesaler will be the one picking up the goods from Saudi. However, you need to clear that point, during the buying. At the same time that he asked for 30 days payment terms, you need to make sure that it's going to, cover the shipment, from Saudi to Dubai,
Do you have any control over our product even after wholesale? For example, they took it in wholesale, they have a huge quantity. However, do we have any control for sales? If they have annual sales or anything, do we say that our product does not go under sales or any kind of limitation we can give them?
Yeah, exactly. This markdown strategy, pricing strategy, delivery, it's during the time of the buying session, during the appointment, and you are entitled to request the payment terms you want, the pricing strategy you want, as the buyer is entitled to accept or not. So it's really, a relationship, and your flexibility is according to really where you want to go. Like, is that buyer, the store that bought your collection, is it someone that really bring you to the next level? Is it someone that you're very proud to work with, or is something comme ci, comme ça? So this is you who will make, that decision, to how flexible you want to be and how this will bring you to the next level. But if you don't want to put on markdown, if you want to have a minimum of 30% off at the end of the season, you can request this, but you have to be clear at the moment of buying. It's basically making a contract, guys, with someone, So when you buy something, you don't want to discover things after, right? You renovate your kitchen, you want to know the price, you don't want to, oh, but this is extra, this is extra, this is extra. So you need to cover everything at the time of buying.
It's part of the wholesale agreement, okay? With some brands who work with contract because we have different VP, but you need to have a wholesale agreement that you always basically share with the buyer. And when you receive the order, you always share with the legal, with everyone, the wholesale agreement. So you need to work on one that is going to resume the terms and conditions of your partnership.
Okay, yeah. Well, we are facing a little bit of issues because it's a little bit new to us. It's actually, they are teaching me because I work solo. However, we're learning, and they order a huge quantity. And for us, they're using their name because they have a huge name to not pay us in advance. And for our brand, it's more of ready to wear, half semi-couture, because it's actually handmade, embroidery and all of that. So it actually takes time. However, they have been really tough with us with the timing for 30 days. And we are in a rush to produce their quantities. So it's just, yeah. So this is what I'm facing right now.
This is the second time you work with them?
No, it's the first one.
This is the first time?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're sure they're going to pay you?
Inshallah. They're unas. I think they're gonna pay,
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, because you keep saying big quantity, so I mean, I don't know.
For a small, no, for a small brand, for a small brand that's only 1.5 years, 200 is a huge quantity,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not for them, but for us.
I think with David, especially now, even you need to be flexible, you need to protect yourself, guys, because also legally, it's very important that you have a work, and you will do it through the greenhouse with the legal department to have a wholesale agreement that will cover all the specificities of your brand. Well, you still need to be flexible, but you be careful, don't take it.
If the buyer wants you, if he believes in you, he will be flexible as well. So maybe he won't give you 30% confirmation, maybe he's going to give you 15% only, just as a matter of courtesy. This is a negotiation. This is, you guys have to also, now I'm putting my hat, my other hat, but you guys have to fight for yourself, for your brand as well. Smaller brand have small cash flow, and you need to also, protect yourself. How many, especially in the Gulf, I don't know so much, but in my other life too, I was, we were selling brand to lots of Italian store, which always wanted 30 days, and then they were never paying. They were never paying ever. And then they come back the showroom after, and they always have a story, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then they want to reorder still without paying the first order. So it's too much to handle, guys. So you need, if the buyer really thinks that you have potential to sell and they want to invest on you, there's also a way to put your foot down in a courtesy manner in a business relationship and cover, exchange exclusive style for them, do a specific pop-up, make a link through their Instagram, negotiate something in order to leverage the payment terms and the delivery and the relationship. It's a both way relationship. It's any type of business relationship.
Because you're
Thank you so much.
yourself and the company at risk versus
Yeah.
a big
Was it?
player that
Wait, yeah, I know that. I don't want to make my part long. Maybe other will want to ask question. However, it's just they have a huge name, so it's just us wanting to be part of their platform. So it was okay with us to just go for it the first time because their excuse was to see the quality because it's only photos that they saw.
Yeah, because that's another point. Because if they don't pay anything and then they receive the delivery late, and after they just might say, "Oh, we don't like your quality, we're shipping it back to you."
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's their point.
Yeah, so that's something you have to be
you
careful
didn't
with.
send them samples? Like, did they ask samples of your collection first before placing any order?
No, they just came to me. I didn't even go to them. They came to me and they said, "Okay, we like your brand. We want to go wholesale."
Try as much as possible to avoid surprise, because this is how we do. If we're interested in a brand, we want to place an order, but there is no showroom, we ask for sample of the collection to be sent.
Yeah.
So we look at the fabric, we look at the finishing and everything, and after there is no surprise for you, except you might have surprise with production. It always happens, but final product that will reach the floor, you cannot have anything about the quality of it if you're sharing samples in advance.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good luck with that order. Let us know. Good. Rafi, we almost we have 5 minutes left before our next jumping into the next meeting. So do you want to do some wrap up? I don't know if I hope we speak with everyone. I'm not sure. Did we miss someone?
I think we spoke with everybody, and don't worry, people most likely would like that one-on-one follow-up. I just have one last question, and I'm going to make it quick. It has to do with relationship building with buyers. Since you guys, buy for 250 brands, and you probably, in constant touch, how can a young brand keep your attention and build that relationship with you over the course of however long that relationship is? Because obviously you're going to have big brands that are going to be a lot more important and are going to be a lot more demanding versus the small guys. So what are, some tips you can give our young designers in order to keep a healthy relationship with a buyer?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just add, sorry, David, can I just add to that question? If the brands are not contacting you by email, how do you also scout for new brands, especially within the region?
Sure. Yeah. So the first question, how to keep the attention. So I think bottom line, guys, and I think this is really what we try to express today. What we're looking for is a brand that fit our customer needs, that have a strong DNA. So normally, if you have a good brand and then we start working and you follow the delivery window and everything, and then you work well with marketing, you don't have to keep entertaining us. It's going to be a natural relationship, because your brand is strong and things like that. So it's also about it's your brand, because you might have a beautiful brand, but it might not fit into our assortment, our store selection. But if it's the right fit, I think it's a natural way of doing business, and I think it's a natural way of doing business. In terms of scouting for new brand, there's a million way, you know. Unfortunately, they used to have still have Fashion Forward or the Arab Fashion Week, or you know, it's you know, there's not really a trade show in Dubai for the designer. It's a little bit tricky, guys, because also we don't want that. If you buy a brand, we don't want the brand to be everywhere as well, you know. So that's the ball standard type of thing, you know. We have to be careful, you know. So let's say, especially for like Bahrain, for example. So we you know, we buy for Saks Fifth Avenue in Bahrain. So we probably will want the brand to be exclusive in Bahrain. Like 99% of the brand we have in Saks in Bahrain are exclusive to us. And it's a little bit true for the brand we have in Abu Dhabi, in Triano, you know, like we'd like to work, you know, with brands that are exclusive, you know. So yeah, it is a bit, you know, so don't want the brand to be over distributed as well, you know, in the region. You have something to add, Julie? Yeah.
Instagram is always a good way also to spot new brands, new trends. Always a bit old school, but trade show, and target the right one. Not all of them are good, and this is circling back to what David was saying. You need to make sure that you're targeting the one that is addressed to your audience, that is addressed to the right buyers. So woman, man, countries, we might find some good surprise. Tranoi and Instagram. I mean, Instagram is really, really good to scout new brands.
So sometimes we find brand from local brand in Europe. We found a Cassini in a hotel room in Paris, in the Park Ave in Paris, you know, like a long time ago, and it's a designer from the region, you know. So but his distribution at the time was very limited to, you know, for the region, because he was also selling to Arabs and, you know, some you know, British or French department store, you know. So, and then we were the only point of sale, you know, in Abu Dhabi. So it really depends of you know, the brand, the market, you know, the product.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, what showrooms would you recommend us to display at?
Showroom or trade show?
Showroom.
You have a couple. Depends. For consultancy, for example, is very focused on the regional designers. You have Maison Pyramide, that is more selective, I would say. It depends also what kind of what is your distribution strategy. If it's going to be more boutique, more retailers, and if it's going to be big department stores, in that case you need to go to a less exclusive showroom and going more to fair trade.
Yeah, what I suggest, there's a few showrooms now that have both antenna in Paris and Milan at the same time. And you know, where we found this season, you know, Shufi, for example, and you know, Arizona Love, you know, so they are showing in Paris and Milan at the same time, and they have a great turnout of Middle East retailer, but also Russian, Chinese, you know, European.
What is it called?
So yeah, we can send you the info. We can send you the info after. You know, there's a few of them. You know.
It depends if you want, again.
You know, Riccardo Grassi. You know, you have a permanent showroom in Milan, but during Paris Fashion Week, he moved to showroom in Paris. You know. And we always find very interesting brand there. You know, like I think, you know, there's I would suggest, you know, to have a showroom who have both antenna, Milan and Paris, you know, because not all the buyer are doing both city, you know, and that you know, you really have a bigger exposure. When you're in a multi-brand showroom, it's really helping you to have great visibility, because the buyer going there to buy other brand, and then they see your brand at the same time, and this is why they have like love at first sight. They have, oh my God, what is this brand? Let me get it. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, guys. I think this will about wrap it up. Thank you so much, David and Julie. We'll coordinate with all of you to schedule any follow-up session with the guys. And if you have any follow-up questions, please ping them to me and we'll send them to the team to answer back. Of course, we'll be uploading this session and sending you the recording. And and we'll be sending you the survey as we always do. So please, if you haven't filled out any of the other surveys that we've sent you, please fill those out. And have a wonderful Monday, everybody. Thank you so much, David and Julie.
Great, thank you. It was very nice to meet all of you.
Thank you, guys.
And best of luck.
Thank you so much.
It's good to see the the new generation, of designer, and it's great to see so much creativity. So keep the good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.